Today we discuss an important propagation mechanism, diffraction. So if you see this picture, you may think that there is a mountain present between transmitter and receiver, and because it will act as a big obstruction, and we may think that no, there will be no communication between this transmitter and receiver. But due to the phenomena of diffraction, this receiver still gets some useful signal, right? So that way the diffraction is very important to know. So we now see what is the diffraction. So before that, we just remember the Huygens principle. What Huygens principle says is that every point on a wavefront, so if it is a wavefront, so it is something like all these are wavefronts. So each point on the wavefront will act as source to produce secondary waves, secondary wavelets. So each point on the wavefront will act as point sources to produce the secondary waves, and the direction of the secondary wavelets will be the forward direction, because the resultant of this these point sources will be like straight lines, something like this they come. So when there is an obstruction present here, say if this is an obstruction, this obstruction causes only it blocks a part of wavefront, but there will be remaining points on this wavefront here, something like this. Due to them, so secondary wavelets will be created like this, because the resultant will not be straight line. So the resultant will be taking curvature, and thereby equivalently what is happening is, so the electromagnetic wave propagation will take a curvature path, and if there are some receivers here, they will get some useful signal due to these secondary waves. So it may happen that you may consider that this is, if there is a transmitter here, we may think that it is blocking the line of sight path. This obstruction is blocking the line of sight path, and we may think that there will not be any communication between transmitter and receiver. But due to this diffraction phenomena, means this obstruction is blocking only a part of the wavefronts, and the remaining points on the wavefront are still eliminating the shadow zone for this receiver. Means why we use shadow zone, because it is behind the obstruction. So we say that this is in the shadow zone of this transmitter. So this receiver is in shadow zone of the transmitter, just to say that this is the behind. This is in the behind of the obstruction. So here, because this is blocking all the points, means most of the points, and the resultant will take the point sources. This propagation resultant will take something like bending or curvature path to reach the receiver. So this is called as what? The phenomenon is called as diffraction, or you might have heard also the light bending. The light bending takes because we are only blocking a part of the propagation waveform, not the entire propagation. So this can be explained through the concept of Fresnel zones. So actually, the energy reaches from transmitter to receiver occupies certain area in the space. So that area or zones are called as what? Fresnel zones. So to introduce the Fresnel zones, we take there is a transmitter here, and we take this scenario, and there is a receiver, and at some point we take some arbitrary height h at some point between transmitter and receiver. The distance from transmitter to this point is d1, and this point to receiver is say d2. Now if I join a line, go to this point, and we now consider this T2R is as line of sight path, means straight path, and this is what non-line of sight path going through this point. Now what is the excess distance it has traveled is that we are now going to find, so that the phase difference between this path and this path, just to introduce the Fresnel zone concepts. So the excess distance is, so the distance from here to here is, we have h square plus d1 square, and this distance is h square plus d2 square. And if the height of this line is say in the order of meters, and these distances in the order of kilometers, then we can have some simplification like this. So d1 into it is actually can be written as like this: 1 plus h square by d1 square, and this can be written as d2 into 1 plus h square by d2 square. The total distance from the T2R to line of sight path is d1 plus d2, say d is equal to d1 plus d2, and the total propagation distance through non-line of sight path is, now we can write this as, we know if root of 1 plus x can be written as 1 plus x by 2, we have seen last class also for small value of x. So we can write this as d1 plus h square by 2d1, and similarly this you can write it as d2 plus h square by 2d2. So when you take the difference, so delta d is equal to d1 plus h square by 2d1 plus d2 plus h square by 2d2 minus d1 plus d2. This is the excess distance if a wave propagates through this path. So just to introduce this about Fresnel zone, we did not reach it, but we are just discussing what is the excess distance if the wave traveling through this path. So it is traveling by, so from here you get from here h square by 2 into d1 plus d2 by d1 into d2. This one. This is the, now how much, what is the phase difference will be, we have also seen in last class. The phase difference delta phi is equal to, you can write like this, 2 pi by lambda into delta d. So we can write this as so pi by lambda into h square of d1 plus d2 by d1 into d2. Now if you see, this will be the same phase difference if I draw a circle of radius h at this point. For all the waves propagating through this circle to this point, because the radius is h only, so for all the points on the circle, the wave propagating through this circle will be having the phase of this much. Now coming to the Fresnel zone thing, what Fresnel zone says that there is a TR. So if it is the first Fresnel zone, so it is a circle of the first Fresnel zone, then the wave propagating through the circle will have phase difference of pi radians with the line of sight path. So of radius is say r1, and then you can also draw again a concentric circle of radius r2 whose radius is r2. So the waveform going through this point and reaching the receiver will have phase difference of 2 pi. So similarly for all the points you can draw like that for all the points on circles. So now if you see, so those circles on through the waves of going through the wave propagating and reaching the receiver will have the what phase pi, 2 pi, and like this, like that the third Fresnel zone will have, that will also be a third circle, and it will have what, the phase difference between the line of sight path and this path will have the phase difference of 3 pi. So now if you see, so from what we have got earlier is that the phase difference has this delta phi is equal to pi by lambda into h square. It is the different, this is the general one, h square d1 plus d2 by d1 d2. So for Fresnel zones, because h is nothing but here radius of the circle, so we call that as say Rn, so nth Fresnel zone circle radius. So for Rn we can write delta phi is equal to pi by lambda into Rn square, instead of h we write here Rn square d1 plus d2 by d1 d2, and this is equal to, because the nth circle of the Fresnel zone, so it will be equal to n pi. If you want to find the first Fresnel zone radius at that point where it is d1 and d2, so if you want to find the first Fresnel zone point, so you have to just equate, you just place n equal to 1 here, and this r1 is equal to, so pi will get cancelled, and square root of lambda into d1 d2 divided by d1 plus d2, and the radius of the Fresnel zone are location dependent. If d1 equal to d2, this radius will be maximum. If you find somewhere here where d1 is very much smaller as compared to d2, then you get what, a smaller circle radius. Similarly, if you find here, you get what, a smaller circle radius. It will only get what, have the maximum radius of the first Fresnel zone or second Fresnel zone. All of them will have the same format. So Rn is equal to nothing but what, for any Fresnel zone, so you just try to, n lambda will come here, so n will be there, so n lambda d1 d2 by d1 plus d2. So for any n value, so get this. So what you finally observe here is, say if I am talking about the first Fresnel zone, the first Fresnel zone, the width is maximum here, the middle, and the width is going to reduce here and reduce here, and it actually forms an ellipsoid where transmitter and receivers will be at the focal points. So what I am trying to say is, the Fresnel zone, we are just telling here how the energy transferred from transmitter to receiver means they occupy some space in the so in which shape they occupy is, so that is of ellipsoid. So this is the transmitter here, and this is what, receiver. So if it is the first Fresnel zone, and second Fresnel zone can be written like this. So that will also be an ellipsoid. Ellipsoid means a 3D ellipse, right? So the Fresnel zone will have the maximum width at the center, and the width of the Fresnel zone will be what, reducing. So what happens is, if there is a transmitter and there is a receiver. So this power, whatever the received power we receive here, that is, if this entire Fresnel zone is, if all Fresnel zones are free from obstruction, if all Fresnel zones are free from obstruction, then you will not have any, what means there is no blockage of this entire Fresnel zones, then there will not be any loss in the due to obstruction. But suppose, so, or you can also view this in this way, even if there is an obstruction present between transmitter and receiver, it is only blocking a part of the Fresnel zone, not the entire all the Fresnel zones. So the rest of the energy from through the rest of this part will be useful to produce. It will be sufficient to produce an useful signal at the receiver. So you can see in the two ways this is either like this. If no obstruction is blocks any part of the Fresnel zone, then you can have the communication is line of sight communication, means obstruction free communication, right? And second way we view this, in obstruction can only block or is blocking only a part of Fresnel zone, so the remaining part is sufficient to provide useful signal at the receiver. So for non-line of sight communication, we should have a wider Fresnel zones, means Fresnel zone width must be a large value, so that even there are multiple obstructions present between the transmitter and receiver. So I am drawing just the first Fresnel zone, for example. So there is a rule of thumb that if first Fresnel zone is free of obstruction, because there are multiple Fresnel zones you can draw, but if the first Fresnel zone is free from obstruction, then you can say the communication is line of sight communication, means the losses are less. The losses due to obstruction called as diffraction losses. The losses due to obstructions called as diffraction losses. So the diffraction losses will be zero, means that the assumption is if any obstruction cleared from the first Fresnel zone. So the first Fresnel zone radius you know, because the radius you can find from what we have, right? R1 is equal to square root of lambda into d1 d2 by d1 plus d2. So if you also see here, the lambda is here, it is what is inversely proportional to the frequency. The Fresnel zone will be wider for lower frequencies and narrow will be what? Smaller frequencies. So if you want to have a non-line of sight communication, one non-line of sight means the receiver is not expected to be in the direction of the transmitter. So there may be several obstructions present, and there may be multiple objects may be present between transmitter and receiver, and still if it is getting right, if this receiver is getting useful signal from the transmitter, means that is a non-line of sight communication. So for this purpose, one must have a wider width, means the communication should have a wider width of Fresnel zone. The Fresnel zone should have a wider width, then only the non-line of sight communication will be possible, because the obstruction can only block a certain part of the Fresnel zone, right? So this one. So for that purpose, so for our cellular communication or mobile communication, so in cellular communication we must need a non-line of sight communication. So cellular communication prefers non-line of sight. Similarly, if you see satellite communication, so for satellite communication you may require what? line of sight. So you don't expect any obstruction between the satellite and the ground station. So like this. So if you want to, so you see the radius of the first Fresnel zone. If you see R1 is equal to square root of lambda into d1 d2 divided by, or it was what, d1 plus d2. So for this what, if you see, so as if the frequency is infinity, means lambda will be 0, then the radius will be 0. It means all the energy will be confined to a straight line. So as the frequency of the communication increases, the width of this Fresnel zone will be what, decreasing, and all the energy will be confined to a straight line, and the electromagnetic wave will approach light wave, right? So if you want to have non-line of sight communication, the carrier frequency must be a reasonably low value, and if you want to have line of sight communication, means where all the energy will be concentrated on a single line, they can choose higher carrier frequencies. That is why for satellite communication the carrier frequency will be in several gigahertz, and for mobile communication carrier frequency will be a few or fraction of gigahertz. Right. Now we want to characterize now what are the diffraction losses. So for diffraction losses we need to introduce a parameter called as Kirchhoff. Fresnel-Kirchhoff diffraction parameter. So to characterize the how much loss there will be there due to what this diffraction means, if some obstruction is present between transmitter and receiver of certain height, and how much loss will be there at the received power due to that obstruction, you can find through what, diffraction parameter. The diffraction parameter actually we just now tell you now that one. So there are two ways to find the diffraction parameter. In terms of diffraction parameter, one can find the loss that we'll discuss just now. What is it? Before that, we just now find what is the diffraction parameter. Say there is an obstruction, so this is the transmitter and receiver, and the effective height of the say obstruction is say h. Means if h is negative, means the obstruction is below the this line joining. Say for example the obstruction is here, it means the height is negative. If the obstruction height is more than means this TR line joining line, for example here the height is positive and here the height is negative. So we are now just talking about the obstructions which are having positive heights, and this is say some alpha, and say this is some beta and gamma, and this is say d1 d2, and for this we have already found the phase value delta phi is equal to pi by lambda into h square into d1 plus d2 divided by d1 d2. This we have already found. So diffraction parameter satisfies this relationship. So pi by 2 into v square. So we are now just defining the diffraction. What is the diffraction parameter? Diffraction parameter satisfies this actually this equation. This phase difference is equal to pi by 2 v square. From there v is equal to h into 2 by lambda h is equal to 2 by lambda and d1 plus d2 by d1 d2. So this is the diffraction parameter. Similarly, the diffraction parameter can also be expressed in terms of alpha. So alpha is equal to actually beta plus gamma. We know tan beta is equal to h by d1, because h is in meters and d1 are in kilometers, so beta is so small, so tan beta is equal to beta and beta is equal to h by d1. Similarly, you can find gamma is equal to similarly gamma is equal to h by d2. Therefore alpha is equal to h into so you just add them, so h by d1 and h by this one, so d1 plus d2 divided by d1 d2. So just writing this equation in terms of alpha, so this is the alpha value, so beta is equal to h by d1 and gamma is equal to h by d2. So substituting here you get this, and writing v in terms of alpha, then it will be alpha into 2 by lambda into d1 d2 by d1 plus d2. So whenever transmitter and receiver are at the same height, you prefer finding this way to calculate the diffraction parameter. If transmitter and receiver are not at the same height, you prefer using finding the diffraction parameter through the angle where alpha is equal to this beta plus gamma. So that is the diffraction parameter. So it is found in literature that, so with diffraction parameter, how diffraction, so in literature it is found that how the loss will vary with diffraction parameter. See here, so when for the obstructions below 0, so v equal to 0 means the height is, so the obstruction is blocking up to, say for example here, if v is equal to 0 means h is equal to 0, right? H equal to 0 means the obstruction is blocking up to this line, not below this, not more than this, if h equal to 0 means. And means v equal to 0 means from this equation h is equal to 0. If h is equal to 0, v will be 0. It means the obstruction is blocking up to the line of sight path, not below, not more than this. If v is negative means, if v is means this side will be, the obstructions are below the line of sight line. V is negative means the obstruction is below the line of sight line, means for this v is negative, and for these obstructions v will be positive. So first we will find the diffraction parameter for a given obstruction. Obstruction will be specified with a location. If v is equal to 0, how much loss it can cause is, say 6 dB, minus 6 dB. The loss is caused by how much? Minus 6 dB, right? If v is equal to 0. And for smaller v values, means for the obstructions below the line of sight line, the loss is maybe negligible, but you have to consider from this point, say for v equal to more than minus 2, you have to consider loss, and that you can find from this graph. And if v equal to greater than 0, so for example if v is equal to 2, you may get here say 19 dB, so minus 19, so minus 19 dB is a loss. So you just write this as not as a loss, so you write G dB, and we actually find the received power through some maybe through free space equation, or in terms of the reference power equation we can find received power. If there is obstruction present between actually the transmitter and receiver, you calculate first what is the diffraction parameter, from there evaluate, from there find the GdB from this graph and add this here. Now this will be the total received power with the what? So this is actually the received power, including the diffraction loss. And there is one more equation present here. If V is greater than 2.4, if V is greater than 2.4, you can take it actually 20 into log, means for all these values that we don't have graph here, so for them we will follow the equation, that is 0.225 by V. So So this is the equation we will follow for what the values of v greater than 2.4. So we will find the GdV from here and we will add it to the received power, which we usually get through either Frey's free space equation or in terms of reference power equation. And one more last concluding point on this diffraction is that all the so here if you see the abstraction, see what shows as mountains, something like this. Actually it will have say it will have actually multiple diffractions, because it may take here, so it is first blocked by this one, again the turn has taken, again it is blocked, again one more turn has been taken, so something like this. So what I'm trying to say, the geometry of the obstructions will not be uniform. So far we are assuming that if there is a transmitter and receiver, the obstruction causes only one time bending, something like this. But if the obstruction has certain shape, if the obstruction having say certain shape, something like this, then there will be diffraction will be several turns will take to reach the receiver. So those calculations we cannot actually do with these equations. For them we have to go for statistical analysis, not this particular calculative analysis. So we can do only calculations for those obstructions which can give only one one curvature path, not the multiple curvature path. Those obstructions called as actually the knife edge model or knife edge obstruction. So here in this class we have discussed only for what? Knife edge obstruction models, not for any other geometry. If there is other geometry are there will be multiple curvature paths, the waveform, the propagation will be taking place. So further these analyses are not sufficient. For them we have to go for what? Statistical analysis, that we'll do later. But for this class all the obstructions follows what? Knife edge model. So it is something like this. So or it means we will show like this, or we can show like this. Therefore knife edge, so that there will be only one curvature path in the propagation. So that is this class.